What's going on, all you Facebook Live and YouTube Live fishing freaks? Welcome back to this episode of On Another Line Live
We're
here
back.
on not quite the last day of July, but the day before the last day of July. And
Ease.
right now, according to my weather app here on my phone, it is a blustery 85 degrees still here in southern Ohio at 8:31 in the p.m. So what's been going on, JR? It's been a minute.
Oh, just working. Went to Disney. It was really hot there. I think that's probably what kind of stimulated my thoughts in favorite place to fish when it's hot.
Does the beer cooler does that count?
I think that'll work. You just put some bluegill down in it. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I did the show last 2 weeks ago, solo because you were at Disney. Last
Disney.
week there was no show because I was actually in Dayton, Ohio, um, teaching teachers how to build guitars last week at Sinclair Community College. But the cool thing about that build is, unbeknownst to me when I got there, Think TV, which is a PBS corporation, shows up. And they end up doing a whole week long PBS broadcast on my guitar build with these teachers, students. And it will be airing on a PBS syndicate somewhere near you, wherever you're watching this at, probably in the fall sometime. So that's pretty neat.
The more you know.
More, you know, you ain't got to take, you don't have to take my word for it.
Well, we'll give some people some time to get on the show. We've only got two at the moment, so hopefully some other people come on here and talk to us a
Four
little.
now. We got four. Larry Slack
Oh
now.
yeah, cool.
What's up, bro? Yeah. Quick update while people are getting on here. The boat saga has been just that, a saga. I'm sure you guys know, but in May, it might have been April. I think it was April. My boat went down because of a bad injector. Can't buy injectors. Bought 6 used injectors off a fella in Florida. Since then to a person called Injector RX in Texas to get them cleaned. And I will read you this email that I was sent. I sent him an email beginning of the week, or let's see, Friday, because I hadn't heard anything from him, and he's had it for almost a month. And he claims on his website that it's a 5 to 8 day working turnaround. So no bueno there. I'm still looking for this email here. Where is it? Could have swore I don't think I would have deleted it. I will give myself 30 seconds here to find it. If I don't, I will basically paraphrase. Yeah, for some reason, it is not on my computer, which is extremely weird. So let me see if I can find it here on my phone. Good afternoon, sir. We are still working on your injectors. Unfortunately, we did run into multiple issues, so we're trying a few different, more aggressive solvents. I'll make sure to give you a call by the end of the week to give you an update. Regards, Nick. So, boat's still down. I've done the least amount of fishing this summer that I have in the last 15 years, no doubt. I registered for the last Toyota Series event on the St. Lawrence River there in New York, Messina, New York, and I am setting 17th in the region. So I got to go there, hopefully make a good showing to make the championship in November in Lake Wheeler down around Decatur, Alabama, and that's coming up very soon. iCast was 2 weeks ago. We've seen a lot of products. Jared, did you see the product where the guy had something strapped to his rod, and it would change his forward-facing sonar direction when the way he would point his rods? It was like, when is too
Literally
early?
saw that right before we got on here.
Like, I don't like that. Can you imagine throwing a jerk bait? Thing go.
Yeah, it's maybe I'd put it on my hat or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Then
I
it
don't know, but
end up in shrink.
been digging into a lot of the idea about forward-facing sonar and how Bass and MLF is going to kind of tackle it next year. Somebody let slip that by 2026, Bass is going to limit the amount of screen inches that you can have. And they're thinking about 60 inches, which would be 5 12-inch graphs, which is still an absurd amount.
Yeah, why would you?
But they are going to limit the number of transducers that you can have and where you can have them located. And they are also talking about banning the crappie brakes, which I find that less intrusive than anything else. Like, I don't understand why they care about that. I mean,
I don't understand how those work, to be honest. I've never seen anybody actually have them. I'll probably watch a video on them.
yeah. So it's basically like just a reverse trolling motor. So like, most of these pros will have the trolling motor up on like big, like 7, 8, 9, 90%, just cruising along with their forward facing sonar. And they could be going upwards of 3, 3.5, 4 miles an hour. So then you hit the button, drops the power poles, basically locks you in the spot. So it keeps you from, one, you don't have to turn your trolling motor around and lose sight of the fish on an FFS. You also don't have to turn it around and like kind of blow that fish out if it's fairly shallow. I mean, I see a lot of crazy things there within that, but I've just kind of been diving into it a little bit. I don't know that they'll ever be able to change what they have now. They've already dove in too much, and it's taken the fun out of fishing. Like, I more and more I think that fishing has become like a drama zone. And there's a dude named Slick Johnson, and he has made a name for himself just diving into everything drama. Like, oh my God. Like, I had to stop following him on TikTok and other things. He used to have a lot of cool things to say, and he was kind of like on the forefront of what things should happen, but now he's just like, everything that happens gets sent to him, and he's like the Randy Blockhat of drama. Like, he just wants to be in the middle of it all the time. And he's made a giant following on TikTok. He's got a couple 100,000 followers on there. But he, was talking about, JR and I were talking about coming on, or before we were coming on, the Ben Milliken video. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but they caught him on video throwing a fish back that, whether it is live or dead, we don't know, but he had fin clips still attached to the fish. Now, do I think that's a, easy oversight? Sure. I see that being something that like, yeah, you know what? That's not a big deal. We've all done it. Matter of fact, if you guys listen to the Mercer podcast, Mercer had Joey Fuentes on there the other day, and he was talking about how he opened his live well in his boat, and the fish that he had, which was like a 3.5-pound spotted bass, jumped out of his live well on his Phoenix boat, and he jumped all the way out of the live well and ended up in the water, and it had a call tag in his mouth. And obviously with bass and MLF, they use non-piercing call tags, but he followed this fish around with forward-facing sonar. He said for what was better part of a half hour, 45 minutes, because he said it was the biggest fish that he had in his box at that point. He said he could see the call tag floating up above the fish. And he said he threw a bunch of stuff at it, trying to catch the call tag and stuff. And the fish ended up like kind of tuckering out because it was almost like a Baby Jaws episode where they had that call tag on there. So it comes up to the top of the water, and he's got his trolling motor on high, and every time he gets close to the fish, it dives back down, obviously because it's scared of the boat. Well, he sees the call tag come up on the surface of the water, picks up like a spook or something, casts out there and catches the call tag, gets the fish and the call tag back, calls the tournament director on the whim or on the advice of his marshal, and the boater or the tournament director told him that he could not keep the fish
Why?
because he snagged the call tag with the lure with a different lure than he caught it with.
How silly, man. It's his fish. Who cares?
Yeah. So that's, I mean, it's just kind of weird how things go. But, that, it's crazy like that. Like, there's always things that's going to happen in fishing. But with that being said, back to the task at hand here. Favorite place to fish when it gets hot. You guys know, you should know if you've watched my channel in any length at all, know that I am a Carolina rig guy when it gets hot. I saw that, Fred Redford put it on their deep channel bins near Shallow Flats. That is a great spot, and that's what I was just talking about there in Grayson Lake. I have a couple spots that I throw a big giant, like single monster or something on with a half ounce, 3/4 ounce, depending on how deep I'm fishing, tungsten Carolina rig. And there is I have a really deep passion for throwing a Carolina rig when it gets really hot. One, you can fish really deep, really slowly, and that's really handy for me when it comes to this time of year. Carolina rig rod right now that I'm throwing. Loomis makes an 873, I think is what it is. CRR Carolina rig rod. I don't like the backbone that it has. I think it's a little too. Jared and I had this conversation yesterday about how he thinks that I like to have way more backbone on my rods than he does, and that's 100% true, I'm sure of, because I like to have a freaking whooping stick, man. I'd much rather have too much backbone than not enough. If I set the hook and the rod feels like a noodle, I'm out. Like, I'm done. I can't do it. That's why I fish usually faster, extra fast tapers, NRX Plus, Poison Adrenas, which some of the Poison Adrenas are moderate fast, but just depends on what you're doing. But if I set the hook and it feels like the tip of the rod is going to like flex back behind my head, absolutely drives me bonkers.
I do like the 7.5 heavy NRX Plus better um, for Carolina rig, just because I don't know. I feel like the hook set on a Carolina rig is like, you're trying to bring that thing up from the depths, and having more backbone does really help. But in contrast to that, I do really like, a classic medium heavy rod as opposed to always going to a heavy rod. Just because I feel like you feel a little bit more, and sometimes the blank's a little bit lighter, things like that. Like, I love the 7.1 NRX medium heavy. I think that's a great rod. And I know that's something that, you're not a huge fan of that particular one, but I think it's just kind of a different strokes kind of thing.
Yeah, that's somebody messaged me on YouTube the other day and said that there was somebody on YouTube bashing Shimano Poison Adrena rods, saying they couldn't feel anything on the bottom. They were the least sensitive rod they ever had in their hands. And I'll be honest with you, I've fished Poison Adrenas for the last 4 or 5 years now, and that guy's an idiot. I don't care I don't know what he was throwing. He was probably throwing a glass rod on a bottom contact bait or something. Poison Adrena is one of my favorite rods on the planet. I like them a lot. Speaking of which, the Poison Adrena B was just released at ICAST, which is super, super interesting to me. It has a ferruled handle. It looks a lot like the Poison Ultima, which is the $800 rod. So I think you're getting some of that technology. You're also getting Spiral X Core, which was only part of the, or not core, Spiral X construction, which was the usually in the Loomis line of things, which is pretty cool. And one of the things though, like, that I was extremely disappointed about in iCast is that every new bait that was released was practically dedicated to forward-facing sonar in some way or another. Like, does that does that kill bait shops?
Yeah,
Like,
it gets I get so sick of hearing it. I mean, I just yeah, I can fish it, but it's not the fun way of fishing. I mean, you know, a lot of people are fishing tournaments, and we fish tournaments together. It's a lot of fun, but that's not primarily why I fish. I love to fish because I love being in the outdoors and I love the sport. So to just break everything down to a spinning pole and a minnow jig, I don't know. It kind of simplifies something that I love and I think is a lot more complex.
also, you saw a lot of like I think this is the first time I've ever seen like a large conglomerate corporation, and I believe it was Berkeley. Maybe it wasn't Berkeley. It was a Berkeley that ripped off the Jackal riser bait.
That was Strike King.
Yeah, striking. That's right.
Yeah,
What did I
Strike
call
King.
it?
Man, it looks identical to the riser. And then, I mean, Berkeley's been doing that for years too, so it's, but that one was a very kind of original bait that they directly ripped off.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I just think the forward-facing sonar deal kind of kills local bait shops because, like, 5 years ago, ICAST, you would see new baits and you would see like crankbaits and spinner baits, and you'd find stuff to beat the banks up with. And now it's like, oh, here's what's the next best forward-facing sonar bait. Um, it's like trying to come up with the next best doorstop, right? They all do the same thing. It just depends on what you want it to look like.
Yeah.
It's been Yatesville is still fishing really well. Jimmy Boone and those guys are tough to beat out there. They're just catching a fire out of them, and they're really good with forward facing sonar. And I think that there is a time and a place. I have forward facing sonar when my boat's running. I have a 12-inch Garmin LSV 34 system. I will use it. It's just I just don't know how it goes from here in 10 years from now, where you walk into a bait shop and there's 3 walls of different like tungsten heads and like 14 sonar minnows.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. It takes a lot of the originality out of it. In saying that, Z-Man came out with a new drop shot bait, and I know there's a trillion drop shot baits out there, but I really think it looks really good. It kind of goes with that whole swimming a drop shot. A lot of people are doing that now, especially in St. Clair and Erie and all the Great Lakes. And it's I think it's called drop kickers, but I can't wait to get my hands on some of those. I actually really I'm wearing a Z-Man shirt. I think Z-Man makes some of the best soft plastics there are. So I'm excited to get my hands on some of those, but check them out. They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
740 bass fishing, 100% agree with you. I like finding the shade lines. I like flipping, slowing down, and really finding where those fish are living in the hottest part of the day, especially hottest part of the year, especially. And that's sometimes it's more of the predictable things to find fish in that time too.
yeah. Speaking of the forward-facing sonar stuff, going back to the Poison Adrena B, I was telling JR yesterday I've been digging into it because I'm going to be having some Poison Adrenas that I have right now. The Poison Adrena A's for sale, so I can upgrade to the B's. But they have, in the spinning side of things, they have 2 rods in the spinning lineup that actually have what's known as a solid tip now, which I didn't know anything about. But it allows you to have more feel and more backbone for forward-facing sonar minnows. So it gives you you could have a smaller, like a lighter backbone rod for fighting the fish, but the tip's a little stiffer, so you can get more action out of that forward-facing sonar bait. So it's like, it's not only just the baits, it's like the rods and reels that we see going there too.
Yeah, changing the whole industry.
Well, I mean, I think change up is good at some point, right? Like there becomes a time where change, you always hear the word game changer. This is a game changer. There's no game changers anymore, other than I did see Lowrance come out with a $900 forward facing sonar unit that comes with its own transducer and everything. So $900 you're in the game. So,
That's
I see that is helping people out. But there was a lot of things at ICAST that kind of took me by surprise. All the stuff that was like just ran like it was like I said, it's just the next best doorstop. They all do the same thing. I think it was Strike King or Berkeley one. I think it was Strike King come out with a molded swim bait that I really liked pretty well. It was like one of the that has the integrated weight in it already. It was pretty cool, kind of throwback to the late to early 90s. So pretty cool there. And they're like really nice size. They're not really big giant baits. Normally you find those molded swim baits like that. They're pre-rigged. They're giant. They're like strapper baits, but these are really nice size. Can be swim. They're not just for, they're not designed for forward facing sonar, which is good, I think. So, I don't know. Like I said, going back to the third tournament for the Toyota series, kind of had a dilemma. One of those is because I'm back at work during that time. I have already got my administration was gracious enough to let me off those 3 days for the tournament. It's just something about being a high school teacher that they have a hard time for you taking work off when you get 3 months of the summer off. I get it, but I am going to be leaving really, so I'll work Monday and Tuesday, and then the tournament is Thursday, Friday, Saturday if I make the cut. So I will leave like super, super early in the morning, like, I don't know, probably 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, like late night into Wednesday. That puts me there at 4 o'clock roughly. It's like 14 hours there, which is crazy. And then I'll be able to sit in a hotel room for a couple hours rigging baits, and then I'm going to go jump in somebody's boat, not having casted one single bait into the St. Lawrence River, which could come back to bite me in the rear end, but it's the only option I have. So I have actually, I'm going to go grab them in just a second, but I caught the fire out of fish at Champlain on a 90 series spin bait or spy bait. I'm going to go grab a couple of them because I just ordered 5 more of them. Well, actually 4 different ones and then 2 of the same ones. I'll show you what I caught them on up there.
Yeah, that Duo Realis is, as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to fish a spy bait, it's probably the only one that I would buy. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're weighted right and the action's right. So the spy bait, if you haven't fished one before, is basically a very subtle bait, typically used for smallmouth fishing. 2 spinners, one on the front, one on the back, and typically thrown with a spinning rod. And you kind of throw it out, count to whatever depth you want it to go down to, and then slowly reel it back. Honestly, the only place that I've ever thrown them is up north at St. Clair and at Erie, and they work really well there. I don't know why they wouldn't work around here, to be honest, but I think I've definitely got in the habit of only throwing them when I'm up north, which is probably kind of a silly thing, honestly.
Yeah, so I've never thrown them around here either. Always up north, but I'll be throwing them around here lately when I get my boat back for sure. But the Duo Realis, as Jared was talking about a second ago, they're called spin baits, but the technique is called spy baiting. This is a Duo Realis 90 series spy bait or spin bait. This is actually, I'm thinking these things are like ½ ounce.
Whoa.
Yep, these are 3-inch ½ ounce. So this is a 90 series. This thing gets down a lot faster. This is a Bait cast model, so you can throw it on a bait caster. A lot of times you're throwing this thing on a spinning rod, but this half-ounce thing, they even make it all the way up to 3/4 of an ounce.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to go, but this bait right here, this collar is called Prism Gill. I wore the paint off of one of these things up north at Lake Champlain. So I bought 2 of them and the Prism Gill. Really, really like these baits a lot. They cast a freaking mile. They are awesome. I really don't know why fish eat them. I mean, they're shaped like a fish, obviously. This color right here is called Blue Hitch. Really liked it a lot. Got
Yeah,
that
nice.
black top. Looked really cool there. Again, all these are the 90 series. Unfortunately, around our area, nobody carries these things. Just for the simple fact nobody uses them around here. You can probably get a hold of Brad at the tackle box. He'll probably learn for you. I thought this one was really cool. This was called River Bait. I really like the color of this one. Really like the prismatic deal of it. Similar to that.
Havasu kind of color.
Yeah. But it's got a holographic deal to it. I really like it. Again, all half-ounce 90s. And then last but not least, I have a 70 like this one that I'm going to show you, that I caught a 5-pound, 10-ounce smallmouth when JR and I were at Lake St. Clair last year. In this exact same color. I'm pretty sure it's called, chartreuse shad, white collar with a chartreuse, really faint chartreuse line down it. But it does have these propellers. It's similar to a devil's horse, but this thing sinks like a rock. It basically, what it does is when it's coming through the water, it just kind of like rolls over and then it just comes through the water. But man, smallmouth will chew the fire out of these things.
Yeah, I think they're pretty fun to throw. That's one of those things that I need to try around here, and I wish I would more often. I don't know. I probably have, like, as soon as I bought them, and then just never did again.
We had this discussion a couple weeks ago about what kind of drop shot hooks to use.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the conversation about, first off, Gamakatsu is probably my favorite hook on the planet. I like a lot of different hooks. I'm sure you guys can still hear me. But I picked these hooks up right here. These are G-Finesse Twist Freeze. But we were talking about these a couple weeks ago, and I told you that I didn't like the way that you had to tie these on. Well, these are actually pretty cool because they have those quick clips on the bottom of them, just like a regular drop shot weight. So you can just tie the top on, and then you can continue to use different leaders down there if you lose your weight. So I thought that was really cool. Not cheap, man. These things are like $10 for 3 of them.
Yeah, if you had to hold me down and say who makes the best hook overall, I would have to say Gamakatsu, but I feel like that is kind of a sway because that's what my grandpa always told me to fish was Gamakatsu hook. So
there's so many good hook companies out there. Mustad makes a great hook. Gamakatsu. Shimano uses a ton of those Hayabusa hooks.
Those are good too.
I think it just all depends on what you're doing with them and where they're at.
Yeah, I can't complain too much about any hooks that I have, honestly. I think all of the main companies they do a good job, especially with the chemically sharpened hooks that they use now, which is kind of unreal to think about. But
yeah, for sure.
I was fishing the St. Lawrence River, man. That's again and again voted the #1 fishery in the United States. So I kind of feel like I'm always trying to tackle all of these new places, and that's definitely way up high on my list. But it's a haul.
Yeah, quick update for those of you guys looking to get into the game of solar bat sunglasses. They have an Independence Day sale, which you're probably thinking that's 3 weeks ago. You're right, but they extended it out until tomorrow. At solarbat.com, you can buy any pair of regular price sunglasses, and you can get another pair of sunglasses for 60% off, which is a pretty daggone good deal. No promo code needed. It's just it'll update itself on the checkout. Malone's Rain. I talked to Malone there a few days ago. He's expecting one of those new Phoenix 721 ZXLs. I'm really interested in seeing one. I think it's going to be a best of both worlds of like the series that JR's got, and which is a 921, and the 721. The Pro XP 721 is a lot more narrow in the front, kind of like my Stratus is now. But the new one that they just redesigned has a really wide front deck. So I think it's like the best of both worlds. I feel like it's going to be a little bit faster, maybe like a 75-mile-an-hour boat, plus have decent amount of storage and places to fish, or enough space to fish. But when he gets that in, I'll be making a video on that. Been posting a lot of shorts on YouTube right now, trying to hit that 5,000 subscriber mark. It's probably because I've been fishing this summer, but it's stalled out, man. I'm at 4971 right now. I'm 29 away from 5,000.
Oh, we got to make that happen. Just a few more. We need to go on a trip and start posting some videos. That's what always gets it up.
Yeah, I mean, because nobody fishes around here, or nobody cares about fishing around here anyway. But it was fun. I mean, like this summer's been, I've got to spend some time with some people and have fun, and like it's different not fishing. What's really different is having a boat in your garage you can't use. And I could use it. I could go to like Vesuvius or someplace and use my trolling motor. But it's kind of like, I don't know. I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, I wish I would have gotten to fish more, but it's honestly around here, it's just been so awful that it's not been as fun. But I'm ready to go back north.
Yeah. Breaking news on my computer here: U.S. men's 4x200 relay races to silver to cap night of 4 medals. In case you're wondering.
All right, USA.
That's right. Tyler Williams, what's up, buddy? We're just sitting here talking fishing, ramble on. We had that conversation there.
Yeah.
But it's summertime here in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia area. The water temperature on the Ohio River right now is like in the 80s, which is crazy for moving water like that. We can't seem to get any rain around here. Normally, we live in an area where it's either like monsoon amounts of rain and everything blows out, or it's like drought and it's like really cool for the water. It gets really clear, but it sucks for fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually, as far as my answer, I think what I would say for where do you go when it's really hot, and I think the river is a good option, especially when it's moving and then you're not just strictly hunting largemouth and smallmouth. I caught a really nice hybrid the other day on a jerkbait, breaking the surface. I honestly kept trying to get a bite with a topwater spook, and put a jerkbait on and got that big beast of a hybrid. So that was a good fight, pulled a lot of drag, and actually me and my buddy Tyler, well, that's what the dog chewed, doubled up with very similar size fish at the same time. So it's the river's probably your best option right now when it's so hot, I think.
Yeah, it's like, I don't mind fishing the river. I've fished it all my life, so it's not a huge deal for me to go there. Like, I enjoy fishing the river. It's 5 minutes from my house, so I can literally be in the water. And I could have my boat loaded up and in the water in 20 minutes. So it's really close and really nice for me to do that. There's only about 10 spots between here and the Granite Dam that hold fish that I've been able to find anyway. So I was hoping to get out on my boat this summer and look around with my graphs and try to find some different spots that that's one thing that I've learned over the years of fishing these bigger tournaments is that I have a lot more, I guess, knowledge and know-how, and I have a ton of, I, I have a lot of, I guess, I don't know how you put it. I feel like I can go out and find offshore spots on the river now that I've never fished before and be successful. The only thing it's going to take is hours on the big motor, idling back and forth, and looking at spots that I don't fish, and looking at channel swings and things like that. So maybe next year that'll happen because I feel like that, those fish stack up in those same spots on the river that they do in any other river, like the St. Lawrence. Obviously, that's a little bit of a stretch there, but offshore rock piles and stuff that you don't know about that may be there. There might be just one log somewhere that holds this hammer. You just never know. You just got to stumble across it.
Yeah. And catching walleye and striper and hybrids and things like that are always, I like the fact that you can fish and never know what you're going to catch. Honestly, it's kind of like St. Clair. You may catch a muskie, may catch a largemouth, may catch a smallmouth. You never know, and that's kind of an exciting aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind, if I don't mind catching some of those junk fish every now and again. I don't care to even target them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, going to Lake Erie this weekend, do some hanging out with Misty and some people that are staying up there. My buddy Dusty. We got a few sightseeing adventures going on, but we're going out with I think Captain Scott with Get Hooked Charters. We're gonna go out and instead of chasing walleye this time, we're going to grab the old egg beaters and go out and try to catch a few hundred perch, which I don't mind to eat perch either. It's an amazing tasting fish. So give me something to put in the old freezer when I come back. That's coming up this weekend. Maybe I'll shoot a video about that.
Yeah, man. I'd like to know what they use to target perch. I'm guessing they probably use a lot of spoons and things like that to
Most of those guys use lake shiners, man. They actually do live bait on spreaders. It's got a big weight in the center, and it's got a wire that comes down with two hooks, throw some minnows on there. And it's all about catching a meal there. It's not about tricking them.
Live bait's cheating, right?
If I'm feeling the freezer, bud, I'll throw a night crawler out there. I ain't scared of it. That's how I got my start. That and putting bread on a golden Aberdeen, catching bluegill out of a pond behind my mom's house.
My grandpa, his preference was to fish with maggots, and that's what we always used was maggots. He would go get them from his little tackle shop, and
waxworms are actual maggots.
He always called them maggots, and they certainly look like wax worms, but I think about it now and it's like a little cringe, but I don't know. We were in his little metal boat in Mogador, Ohio. That's where I started to love fishing.
Yes, sir. Yep. I don't know. So, guys, we're about that 40-minute mark. Appreciate you guys sticking around with this episode of On the Line. It's been kind of boring and drab. Promise you we're going to have some better stuff coming at you soon. I'm just not fishing, so I can't get out there and tell you what's working and what's not. I'm excited to get back out to New York and go out to, the best, what's according to Bassmaster Magazine, the best bass fishing place on the planet. The St. Lawrence River in Messina, New York. That will be coming up the third week of August. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to going out and hopefully trying to, obviously want to win the thing, but I want to try to make the Toyota Series Championship in my first series or my first season as a Toyota Series co-angler, which would be pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to that, and that will be coming up very soon, 3 more weeks, which is crazy. Got school starting in 2 weeks here, so your kids excited about that, Joe?
Oh Lord, no. Jack is like summer forever. He never wants to acknowledge that summer is kind of coming to an end, but man, I'm ready for it to cool off.
Yep, I'm ready to go out there and catch some fish. But I been building a bait building little spot in my garage for the last couple of years, doing molds and things. This winter, I'm going to be knocking out a bunch of baits. Hopefully, have some for sale for some of you guys if you guys are interested. Some grass jigs. I sold a bunch of hybrid grass jigs last year. Got a ton of like weedless Ned rigs. Something that you're probably not going to see around that often. You can go to pretty much any tackle shop and buy a regular Ned rig, but a weedless Ned rig, you're not going to see a ton of them. So I have those. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Still working on the swim bait, the glide bait. I will be going, I really only work on that when I'm at work because that's where my CNC and stuff's at. So this fall is going to be dedicated to getting those things knocked out. I did build a jig the other day. I cut 9 at a time out. So if I can get these things knocked out to where they work, I'll be able to get them in your hands here soon, I hope.
Cool deal, man. Well, let's get out there.
Yep. Guys, appreciate it. We'll see you guys same bat time, same bat channel next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern here on OnAnotherLine Live. If you guys can, get out there and lean on. Oh, let's see here. I'm on 842S. I do not. Jared, you know?
Doesn't ring a bell, no.
I have an do they make an 842? I have an 852S, and it is freaking thebomb.com. It's the best spinner out on the planet, hands down. Love it.
Which one is the 842?
842 would be 7 foot, medium, light. No, that would be, it's a 7 foot medium light.
Is that the Ned rig rod? I was thinking it was 610.
Well, 84 inches is a 7 foot, so it's a 7.
Yeah.
7 foot 2 power. 2 power. So that's a medium, right? 7 foot medium. I didn't know that they had an 842, 852S. If that's what you're talking about, if they have an 842S, I would imagine it's probably pretty great. But I can guarantee you that any lineup, especially the NRX Plus, the 852S, is thebomb.com, and that's no cap right there. That's what my young students will say. That's no cap.
No cap. Oh Lord, we were talking about today at work. All these new sayings makes me feel old.
Yeah. So the 7 foot medium Poison Adrena spinning rod is phenomenal too. I just picked it up, but I don't have the 7 foot medium fast. I have the 7.1 medium fast.
Yeah, if it's NRX Plus, I have the 7.1, and it's awesome. I have a 7.1, a 7.3, and
yeah, I have the 7.3 also.
I mean, I love the 7.3 for swim baits and for basically I like that because you get a little bit more distance. The 7 foot, I mean, if you're talking NRX Plus, they're awesome. You can't go wrong. I mean, I would have every model if I could, afford it in my boat.
Yeah, I get that. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Next week, talk. Maybe get somebody on that knows a little bit more about fishing than we do, so we can learn a little bit all together. So, that being said, you guys can get out there and lean on. We'll see you next time on Another Line. See y'all.